Okay, now we're going to get into Layer 1 IS DNA and make sure that you're prepared for the workshop. And the workshop is going to be revealing, Brian has actually brought us a pretty major client in the alternative energy, or renewable energy rather, industry, I guess both, probably renewable. And we're going to talk about that. So we want to get there as quickly as possible. So let's just go ahead and cover our Layer 1 IS DNA, which is the industry solution DNA. And we've already talked to you about how questions are the answer. I believe there may be some videos in this slideshow as well. We're actually going to let them play so that you can watch them. We've kind of had some technical things that we've been through. So we'll go ahead and do that for you because everything in here has a purpose for you on building your stackable perpetual system. The IS DNA is the foundation. And of course, we've talked about it as cybernetic. Again, when you think cybernetic, think of a terrific blend between human beings, the predictable nature of human beings and your potential prospects or clients, with the machine world, that is search engine, automation, RSS, website integration, all that stuff. That's what cybernetics means. And of course, here we are at the foundation, which we've already gone over. The definition of IS DNA is industry solution, and the reason we have / innovative solution is because of a conversation I had with a high-end client who's making $2 or $3 million a month in the home garden industry. That includes everything from fireplaces to outdoor fireplace to mosquito netting to a lot of different things. And I could tell that in his industry, he needed to understand the innovations that his products represented, not just the questions in the industry. So either one, when you think ISDNA, think about innovation. And innovation is really key when you're dealing with large clients, when you're talking about swallowing a market whole or even an industry whole, which is really what we're going for. You need to understand what's called the Innovators Dilemma, and we're going to go over that a little bit. So DNA means the stackable components of, as we discussed in the previous show. 3 purposes of the ISDNA is, go ahead for one, to help you extract the appropriate frequently asked keywords for later analysis using the recommended natural language processing. Remember, the whole purpose of this is to use our tools, right? And use any process that you can to pull the specific granular words out of the humanized questions. Remember, it's human world with machine world. Questions are for human beings, not for computers. We do not have a computer right now that can answer or even ask questions consistently, accurately. That makes sense. We're working on it. Larry and Sergey are working on it, but we don't have that yet. That's why your market, your client, your industry is the question asking. That's why the search engines are used for finding people who have asked questions and the questions that people have asked. To help you expand current frequently asked keywords into broader topics and themes by enhancing the original questions. We call these should ask questions. That's not the right question. This is the right question. To help you position yourself or your client as the only viable solution or painkiller in a given industry, market, and niche. Questions are the answer. So most marketers and business owners forget the basics, and we're going to go through this quickly, but this is a diagram of the scientific method used by scientists all over the world. Ask a question. Okay, it's actually observe and explore, hands-on, messing around with. This is getting into the problem. Like Matt said it at lunch in a brilliant way. It's what he does naturally, and I didn't realize it. Break it before you can try fixing it. And as developers, that's what you guys do. You break it. Give me this new piece of software, I will break it. I'll try to break the industry. I'll try to break the question. You actually have to try to break your client before you even take on the case. Like find out what he thinks so you can find out which questions go. Ask a question, and you usually break the software or the client by asking questions that they themselves have not yet asked. Select a question that can be answered through investigation. Once they answer you, try not to be obvious by telling them that they're wrong, but ask a better question. It's a better way than correcting. Experiment or observe to answer the question, is that really true? Is that really true? Like when somebody says something, I don't let them slide over it. I stop them and go, whoa, okay, you just gave me 3 rules that you have. Why? And are they really true? And you'd be surprised by how many times during the day you just repeat things that are true isms, but they're not necessarily true. And in a changing environment like the internet, you have to be willing to re-ask questions and assumptions every single day. Reflect on what happened. Okay, I did this, then this, and the software broke, okay? Or ask this client this, and he said this based on no real research or foundation. Where does he get his ideas from? Then you ask more questions, and you just keep on this machine gun until finally the perfect question exists. And that's really where a lot of the new question engines and artificial intelligence algorithms are coming from. They're asking the wrong questions faster, with faster processing time, so that the real question emerges. This is called Emergence Theory. And we talked about it earlier in the stackable SysNet. Whiteside has talked about it. So it's a lot of fun to talk about emergence, but nobody wants to talk about simplicity. That's because automating emergence takes a massive number of questions being asked simultaneously to have the right question. That's what science is about. More questions, and then you begin and observe and explore again. Okay? And I'm sorry. And this is what we mean. It's on this side we have the frequently asked questions, or your assumptions. On this side we have the nope, broke that, nope, broke that, nope, broke that. Okay, can't break that. Correct answer. Okay, it's really simple, but it is really complicated when you look at business. Okay, and I make a big jump here, but what I'm really trying to say is the hammer versus the nail gun. This has a lot to do with the Innovators Dilemma, and it has to do with what happens if you don't ask enough of the right questions before you develop a product. It was a great idea, right?
Test the product.
It was a great idea, right?
Yep.
Like I don't have to swing the hammer. But when you really start looking at this, remember we talked about simplicity as being as simple as possible, but not simpler? They actually tried to make this too simple with too much complexity. It's actually more efficient to swing a hammer. You know, so this really, the problem with the Craftsman is that they didn't get enough torque and they didn't realize how much wattage was lost in battery storage with torque. And as a result, you have to charge it every 3 nails or something. So the best product innovations are created by asking a question about a problem and then using innovations to solve it. So the problem with this is with the designer department. Somebody had a great theory and they did a prototype, and the prototype somehow got to market, you know, and it went to market without having been broken. So nobody gave it to Matt and told him to break
test.
it.
That's why you don't see any more 9-volt drills anymore. They're all 18 volt and 20 volt.
Exactly.
They couldn't figure out why.
Yeah, remember the ultimate I'm using a metaphor as artificial intelligence. I listened to a long lecture by Larry from Google, Larry and Sergey actually, about artificial intelligence, because they have the ultimate set of processors. They would probably be the first to create emergent intelligence out of computational analysis. And they said their biggest problem with speed is RAM. It's not really storage space. And that's because you have to fail faster when you're coming up with the right answer with a bunch of wrong answers. So you really want to think about, they forgot to fail faster with this nail gun.
They just failed.
They just failed, and they lost a lot of money.
Or they just went straight to market and forgot to test it.
Which is translated to losing a lot of money. Okay, next. So the ultimate goal of the ISD process is to help you leverage the paradox of the Innovators Dilemma while simultaneously solving it. And we're going to see a lecture coming up on video, we're going to let it roll, on the Innovators Dilemma, because it's given by a guy who lectures for UPS of all companies. It's actually a really great viral video they use. The Innovators Dilemma, a fantastic book. It really is about being in competition with yourself by challenging your entire team, whether it be Brian and myself, you know, who are out in the field or doing the marketing, coming up with the language. We were just talking about this at lunch. Sue, who's coming up with enterprise level integration, making sure we're not all insane, and you know, which is we are. And then there's Matt, you know, and the hardware developers and all these things, and everybody trying to break their stuff. If everybody breaks everything all at once, then maybe that nail gun will never get made, and we don't lose all that money trying to push it to market. Instead, we come up with a better idea. We fail faster, and we go to market with the right thing.
Right.
That's what the Innovator Dilemma is all about. The problem is that we used to not do that because companies were afraid to be in competition with themselves because they were afraid of getting fired or losing their job. And the legacy, especially in hardware, automobiles, things that you have to manufacture tangible products, they were really, there's really a lot of money lost when new products come along that knock them out. So what happened is the developers and the engineers and the Flash prototypers always dragged their feet in creating them. They didn't want to change. Okay, so Innovators Dilemma is a fact that disruptive technologies tend to be dismissed before they are recognized by industry leaders. If I asked people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses, Henry Ford, okay? My point here, and we're going to talk about this in the next video, I think. Go ahead. Is we'll just watch this.
This Seizing Opportunities video series is sponsored by UPS.
So, in the history of innovation, one thing is quite common. When a disruptive innovation hits the market leader almost never recognizes it. And that's because they confuse what market they're really in, such as believing that they're in the train market or the horse and buggy market, and not the transportation market. As Henry Ford once said, if I had asked people what they wanted, they would have said, faster horses. So those who are in the legacy business mainly look at just improving an existing product and not at disruptive innovation. And thus, when something new comes along, such as the automobile, it's easily dismissed as not being good enough to compete. It's noisier, it smells bad, it's unreliable, and so it gets ignored as not being real competition. But the innovator's dilemma is that these technologies improve at a much faster rate than the existing technologies, and at a certain point, they better serve the demand of the customer. So dealing with the innovator's dilemma is key. First, take a step back and understand what business you're really in. And that's what benefit you provide customers, not what product. So it's not about horse carriages, but transportation. Being able to help people get from point A to point B in a better and faster way. Then, focus on the best ways to keep improving that benefit, recognizing that if you don't, someone else will.